You're the best the Confederation has ever put together. Your objective, total obliteration.
Brute force. For interplanetary combat, there's no power greater than X.
The votes are in, and you all voted for the next Only on Xbox review to be Brute Force for some reason. Does anyone really have fond memories of this game? And for some strange reason, I still remember the day that I bought a copy of Brute Force. It was on a whim at a Walmart in Eastern Washington. And that's all I remember about Brute Force. I remember kind of what the gameplay was like, and well, since you guys voted for it and it beat out Blinks the Cat, it's gotta be something interesting or special, right? Anyway, let's pop this, let's pop this sucker in and see if let's pop in Brute Force and see if this game holds up. Oh, you like that? That was cool. Brute Force, released in 2003 and developed by Digital Anvil, the game company founded by Wing Commander creator Chris Roberts. Later on, Digital Anvil was purchased by Microsoft, and then they went on to create many memorable games such as Star Lancer, Freelancer, and Brute Force. And that's it. Brute Force is a third-person shooter that takes place in the distant future of 2340. Where cloning has made recruiting and training soldiers obsolete. Because of this, there's no fear of death and allows you to charge in guns a-blazing. Essentially, you're some kind of planetary border control or something like that. You're sent on mission after mission trying to stop hostile aliens from attacking planets owned by the Confederation. There is a slight nudge at trying to establish a looming threat within this game, but it's just so vague I don't care. Your special ops team is codenamed Brute Force. First off, we have Tex, who's a combination of Duke Nukem and Dwayne Johnson, except he's boring and doesn't have any charm. Next up is Brutus. He's a Gorn from Star Trek, voiced by Vin Diesel. Not really. We have Hawk, a red-headed lady with a fat ass who has a let me speak to your manager style haircut. And last but not least, we have Flint, a woman of color who has a fat ass. Oh yeah, she's also the team sniper. Now, just so we're clear, this game does have a single-player campaign, but its selling point was more towards the system link and co-op multiplayer. Every mission always begins with the team getting briefed by a man who's only a torso. The voice acting and CGI cutscenes sound and look great, and hold up incredibly well for how old this game is. Like seriously, this era of video games was kind of hit and miss as far as like graphics and voice acting, so it got 2 for 2 on this one.
It's time to deal with Shadoon. Ever since we arrived, Shadoon has been orchestrating rebellion throughout the system. We've dealt with his lieutenants. Now he must be eliminated before he can infect anyone else.
We get a few bits of witty banter between the teammates, as well as some hints at character lore, which doesn't linger too long before throwing you back into the action. When playing alone, you're able to switch to any character you want on the fly, and you can command the other ones that you're not controlling to do different things, such as cover my ass while I do all the work, move to my location and stand there and do nothing while I do all the work, and of course, kill anything that moves while using up all of my fucking med packs. And that's the first of a few things I didn't really care for in this game, is that you have a shared inventory with the characters that you're not currently playing, so if they're going apeshit and using up all your med packs and grenades, you're left with nothing. On the plus side, each member also has their own special ability that can help you out in different situations. Tex can dual-wield guns. Brutus gets predator vision, making it very easy to spot enemies, and slowly gains health over time. Hawk is able to cloak herself, making her invisible to all of the enemies, which kind of seems pointless in this game if you've ever played it before. And of course, Flint, being the sniper, gets enhanced aiming, allowing you to snipe with more accuracy. But I found myself seldom using any of the special abilities outside of the Brutus one. When it comes to different guns, there's no shortage in Brute Force. But for me personally, I ignored most of these until I ran out of ammo for the default guns that I got at the beginning of the mission. Everyone starts out with 2 guns, one signature gun that you can't swap out or drop, but the second weapon can, so I don't know, it's kind of a juggling act at times. Explosives are also a staple item that you'll be finding in every mission. Frag and gas grenades are standard, but you'll also get light grenades that can call down an airstrike to the location where it was thrown. Hell, you even get a melee weapon, which I rarely use, but it was really cool that it was even in there in the first place. There's also destructible environment, which is always pleasing when you weren't expecting it. But I found myself rushing through most of the levels because there's not much that breaks up the monotony of just shooting a gun. The difficulty in levels are also very staggered from mission to mission. And it's not like you have stats where you're leveling up. Everything about your characters are exactly the same from when you start the game until you beat it. This is due to how many enemies are in specific parts of the map. Everyone instantly starts shooting at you no matter how far away they are. It literally feels like that scene from RoboCop when Ed 209 eviscerates that fucking dude in the business meeting. Believe it or not, there are boss fights in this game, but they look so similar to the normal enemies that you're going to be fighting throughout every mission that you'll be shooting one not realizing it's a boss until you're like, oh fuck, he has way more health, why isn't he dying? Oh, he's a boss! It's lame. I think my favorite part about this game was how forgiving it is. Since they have the whole premise of cloning soldiers, if all of your characters die in a mission, you can just choose to clone them and start at the last checkpoint. And this is important too, because a good portion of the levels are fucking massive and take like 15 to 20 minutes to complete. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, there's a bunch of unlockables in this game too. Hidden in every level, you can find DNA canister items. These unlock a ton of different bonus characters that you can play as in the deathmatch mode. But this requires friends. And not just friends willing to drive all the way to your house to play fucking Brute Force, a 22-year-old third-person shooter on the original Xbox. I would say Brute Force has an interesting premise. I like the idea of planetary border control. It's got great graphics and voice acting that still hold up after all this time, and not a lot of games from this era can say that. Also, I really liked the controls. They were tight and easy to learn, and everything just felt good. Well, aside from the jumping, which was almost pointless. But the game was too repetitive for me. Everything just felt exactly the same. I didn't feel like the stakes were high or low or anything. Sure, it felt good shooting things for a little bit, until the novelty wore off. I could see a lot of people who really like this game getting a lot out of it when they were playing the multiplayer. You know, you have your LAN parties with your friends, you got the split screen couch co-op, stuff like that just made games, even if they weren't great, better. I just don't think Brute Force aged very well, and that's not to say that it's a bad game, but it's just average. And I think being middle of the road is a worse fate than being so terrible that it's good, or just terrible in general. There's more to talk about with a bad game than something that is just meh. While doing a bit of research, I read a ton of articles that referred to Brute Force as a placeholder until Halo 2 comes out. And that is not what you want people to refer to your game as, a placeholder for something better. So, I don't know. I really don't have much more to say about Brute Force. The game was very, very bland and annoying and just average. I don't hate it. I don't love it. Also, thank you again to everyone who voted. But in protest, since I thought I was going to be playing Blinks the Time Sweeper, but you guys pushed Brute Force over the edge for some reason, I'm going to show you 2 or 3 minutes of raw footage of my cat being a cat. And I will see you next time when I cover another game that was only on Xbox.